It's going to be either 3-1 LG or 3-1 Optic based on that game number 4.
These are the respawn juggernauts. These guys play a different style of respawn. I don't think we're gonna see a map 5 here. It's gonna end in 4 either way. Looking at these maps though, looking at statistics and how these teams have performed on these specific ones, I have to lean LG. I'm taking them 3-1 based on these.
I've got to say the same. I mean, if the curse, if you call it the, the third.
You're getting all superstitious. No, they're giving me actual reasons.
I'm just saying, I think it ends in 4. You know, okay. I agree with these guys, but I do favor Luminosity. I think Luminosity closes it out. I think Luminosity take Precinct, Luminosity take Throwback. I think LG could take all 3 respawns. I really do.
Krim, where has he been? He was, you know, sort of in the running in my mind for MVP for Optic Gaming coming into today, but that series was abysmal from him. I don't know where his head is at. He's got to turn it around.
Well, congratulations once again to Team Envious as they book themselves into another grand final. That's 4 of 5. And JCap, another grand final for him as he fights for his 3rd ring later on today in our grand final. But up next, it's an elimination matchup. Optic Gaming versus Luminosity. Winner books their spot in today's grand final.
A war has been raging for centuries across worlds. At stake is the one thing that protects us all, the tower. Now the war has come to Earth. Darkness will prevail. Our destiny's not decided. I'm coming for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back live here in Orlando, Florida. And after 5 hard-fought days, we are down to just 3 teams. This is the 2017 Call of Duty World League Losers Bracket Finals for 2017. And it's time to meet our teams. Are you guys ready? Introducing first, a squad that fell in the first round. Since then, they have dispatched 5 teams, sending them packing. Let's hear it for Luminosity! LG has been in 2 of the last 3 finals, looking to make it 3 for 4. But they will be going up against our Stage 2 champions. Let's hear it for Optic Gaming! Optic Gaming, Luminosity. There's only 1 spot left in the championship match. It's time to find out who is moving through. Gentlemen, take your seats. It's time to get this party started.
Thank you, Chris Puckett. Here we go, losers bracket final time. Maven here, joined by Matt, Mr. X Morello, and first, buddy, I want to talk about the Luminosity run. You know, we've been looking at it, we've been talking about it. I think you should be a little bit scared if you're Optic Gaming in this matchup because LG on a tear.
Right, you drop down into loser bracket, you end up on the Bravo stream. Some people may not catch all of those matches. They have been on an absolute tear. They go through Fnatic, they go through Infused, Splice, E-United, and Rise Nation. Their map count combined in all of those, 15-2. Just blowing people out. It's a scary team to go up against here at Championship Sunday.
Well, you know, people with a short memory, or maybe people new to competitive Call of Duty, 3 to 4 weeks ago, we were calling LG the best team in the world. A week ago, we're calling Optic the best team in the world after they win Stage 2 playoffs. I think this is a very scary matchup for Optic, and let's talk about why, Matt. You looked at some of the percentages based off teams in their positions this year.
Yeah, so no, as we were sitting here waiting for this match to start, just kind of racking my own brain, I couldn't really think of it. So I asked, I was like, well, what is the percentage of teams that lose the winners finals, drop down into this match, the losers finals, and actually make it back into the grand finals? This year, that has only happened twice. 2 out of the 7 events that has happened, it was FaZe in Paris and Cloud9 in Vegas. So a lot against Optic Gaming here. Also in this map set, they find themselves with their 2 worst hardpoint maps as well. It's gonna be a very tough go for them.
It is, and what do you think it's like for them? You see Crim6 on your screen. Tournament-wise, the most winningest player of all time. The guy is a champ, but trying to take the trophy here. What's it like to be in this position, Matt, where you get knocked out of winners, you have like 15 minutes to regroup, and then you have to go up against a team like LG?
I mean, I can tell you what it's like for a normal team, but a team with the fan base of Optic Gaming and the pressure they have on them, I have no idea. I have no idea how you would even explain that. So much pressure on these guys to come through for the fan base. They'll come through. We know Crim6 and Karma already have a ring. We got to get one for Scump and Formal. It has to be unreal, the amount of pressure they go under.
And talk to me about Crim. You know, we just saw him. You've called him kind of the X factor for this team.
Yes.
You know, you expect Scump and Formal to consistently slay. You know Karma's going to do it all. He plays to win. He makes the plays when he needs to. But from a slaying perspective, Crim needs to be there.
Yeah, and I think TP really kind of broke it down well on the desk when he said, you know, you're able to outslay teams heavily if you're out the gaming and get away with not rotating early or making some kind of minor mistakes because you have such 4 talented players. You can't do that against a team like Luminosity because now we've seen it throughout the year, right? When Optic's at their best and LG's at their best, they are still very evenly matched.
Well, here we go. Game 1 of the losers bracket final. LG, OG, here we go.
It's a big matchup all year long, has been Formal versus Octane. With the NV4 in their hands, it's Optic getting on the hill early. Scrim there pushes in right into the face of Octane, able to take him out. There'll be Optic Gaming scoring some points here at the beginning.
Well, when you talk about Formal versus Octane, I mean, both widely considered throughout the year the best two MV4s in the game. Does this matchup right now decide it for you when you look back at 2017?
Slasher's still around.
That's a damn good point.
Slasher's still here.
Well, to be fair, he wasn't on anyone's radar until a month ago. I mean, he's been in the conversation before, but my God, has he been brilliant as of late.
Now, we'll see. Luminosity trying to set up for that next hard point, but see that number 7 on the mini-map? Karma just sitting in the back there for Optic Gaming. He's going to push all the way towards that backside. It's going to be a lot of pressure on him to hold this down for Optic Gaming at the beginning of cell block.
Well, see, the thing is, you know, you see Luminosity, they push into that top window so quickly that Karma, even though he gets to the back spawns, by time Optic Gaming actually pops, there's too much presence from LG. They spawn the whole way out of helipad. They have to rotate over, but Crim6's going to be in. There's 3 players from LG hitting around the back, 1 hitting from the front wall run. A lot of pressure coming in. They think it's all in the back. Classic gets a freebie.
They get another kill as well. Classic starting off here 8 and 3. And a crazy stat here, Clint. You know, throughout all of Stage 2, including the playoffs, in 15 maps of Hardpoint, Classic went negative once. Just so consistent game to game. I mean, we were looking at him in Stage 2. We were talking about him maybe best player in the game status.
That's what's so funny. Like, I think one week we're talking about Octane being the best. You know, it's a conversation we have to have, but it's like, oh, it's Octane. Oh, and now it's Classic. Now it's Saints. It was just all over the place with this LG team because they're so talented. And now as they rack up a ton of time to the close there of cell block, they're still trailing by 19, but Classic going to be the first man here. Optic Gaming about to press in. Does he check the right side? Able to get one, tag another, but there's the collapse. 4 players soar in from Optic Gaming. And they're set up here in Graveyard.
They don't have to rotate early. They get over. They use their strength in terms of slaying to clear this area of the map out. They now have control of Graveyard. 2 big kills there for Karma. Using the high wall run, trying to get around. He will fall. But Optic Gaming, they give themselves a nice lead at the beginning of this game.
They've started out hot. They're cruising right now. Let's listen to the Optic cops.
Got you, man. We're coming, we're spawning. Nice, 1 and 2. Nice, let's go.
Challenge it up. He's in med. I'm playing window.
How's Spiral? Say no.
No, spiral in window.
Yeah, window. Window dead.
Another one here. You'll rotate.
He says full heal.
Spiral to mid.
I'm here.
I'm leaving, Seth.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm here, Matt.
Good talking,
Go green truck.
Okay,
We got your mid in.
Yeah, no.
I'm looking high.
One wall,
Yeah, I'm looking high, Matt.
I'm gonna help Damon still.
You go low.
I'm going to the back, Damon. I have no ammo.
Classic, kill me wall, fuck.
I have no ammo. Hang on.
Three middle.
Yeah, all middle. I'm turning around.
Guys, one behind him.
One screen truck, Damon. Yep.
Yep.
Window, Sam. I think they just went to hill. Gary, one shot mid lane. Absolutely nice. One's window. Melee hurt. Take that.
Let's go.
Let's go, guys. You guys hit them together.
Classic, NV4, guys.
I spawn mid. He went low.
Okay, watch that.
We
Saw mid.
I'm putting. You can go Wally in.
Three wall. Another wall.
Watch your low wall. I have a low wall.
Front and wall.
That's Nick. That was the guy low.
Not as well.
Nice. Got this. I'm hitting out front.
He's there, Steph.
Go, I'm top mid.
In the back.
I got your mid. Watch your back or your mid cut. They rotated.
There. One more. Showers. Two of them.
Shower.
One more.
Let's go, guys.
He's yellow car.
Good shit.
Yellow car. He's barrel.
They're spawning hell.
Out of his barrel. Nice. I spawned second. You could be spiral.
I'm 50 on streaks. Oh, no.
One back room.
Classic. Sorry, Damon.
Spawn spiral. Hill.
Yo,
Sam's
listen,
in
I'm
hill.
going top window, guys, alright?
Sam's in hill. I'm weak. I'm staying down. I'm getting out.
Dead. I got one. Nated hill.
Hill should be weak. Hill should be no. One's in showers. I'm behind one.
Hill's really hurt.
Showers.
I'm looking loading. He's on the bail.
Our door, showers.
Bottom right. One's to the back hill. Nice.
Let's go.
L weak. He slid through. He's yellow.
We're spawning back.
Yellow on you.
Back laundry. Yellow, Saints.
I spawn med again, guys.
And one shot hill. Nice, 2. Good trade. Stay down.
I couldn't.
All good. Two.
I got you.
Bottom right. There.
L dead.
Nice.
One shot. And you can go straight to second. Watch to the lane.
Bottom. Sherry's bottom and one's in L.
They go mid.
Bottom and L.
L dead.
MV4.
L again. Weak. L weak, Sam.
Oh, there's 2. Yep, guys.
Where'd it go?
Yep. They're all backside hill.
Yo, they're gonna hit showers.
Yeah, I'm going to hill. Going to hill. Still loading too.
Yeah.
Loading behind.
That could be a new. I'm going out.
They went wall. They all went wall.
Oh,
spiral. Not a ran down spiral. Ran down spiral.
I'm scared big mid in. Watch my wall.
I spawned wall.
Two mid.
Play front.
All rebox, play front, guys. Yeah, play front. Play front. There's three front door. 3 E box. Come on.
Nice one. Come back. Here.
He slid out on me, Nato.
Back right. Nato's still there. Nato, watch out.
Back two.
Left guy left.
Left. Nice. Last guy's left.
One, Matt.
I have your help here. He's back right. He was back right.
Back right, Tim.
Let's go. Someone wall run.
Mid.
He's in.
Stay alive. Warren, Seth.
I got your back.
Yep. Your back right. I'm watching your left side.
Doubling up their opponents is Optic Gaming. Matt, instant reaction to that listening.
I love the communication from Karma. I know not the most talkative guy in a lot of the games and a lot of the listenings we do, but you heard a lot of just kind of commanding his teammates around the map. Karma, one of the smartest players in Call of Duty, sometimes really just is not vocal enough, like in a team aspect. You heard a very different Karma there.
You know, I talked to the team about some of their struggles. That was one of the big things that came up. Karma needed to be that vocal leader. When he kind of zoned out, it could really hurt the team. He has to be the guys to make the right plays and direct the troops. Karma trying to find another one up close and personal as he is 18 and 10 and just snapping onto Classic there. They've got control of Graveyard, and my God, Optic looking to blow open the doors of this Game 1 on Breakout.
And with Scump and Formal, not being in this situation ever, you need the guys who have been there before to step up and play big. And Karma's doing it here in game number 1, double positive. Shot looking better than ever.
And how important do you think it is for him to be doing well just individually? Like the fact he's 20 and 11, does it make it a little bit easier to get hype? But as I say that, Formal 17 and 7 on a 6 streak. He's fully streaked out. But back to the question, I mean, Karma doing well, does that maybe make it a little bit easier to be positive, to communicate with the roster?
Oh, without a doubt. And I think you needed a good game 1 after a very tough loss to Envy, a series where they probably did not expect to lose. You could not have come into this series and afford a game 1 loss.
Well, his Formal streak comes to an end. He still has those streaks to work with in his arsenal. 100-point advantage now for Optic Gaming as we rotate to commissary. Karma lurking mid-map will be picked off. Scump set up in the back here to try and deal with the pressure coming in, but now it's 2-drop, make it 3-drop for Optic Gaming. You only have one man on the hard point, it's Crim6. Crim has so much pressure. 3 are gonna be flying in on him now. The streaks start to come in here from Formal. Can he save Crim as the collapse? Well, maybe save Crim was a poor choice as he's gonna take him out with the Trinity, but he does get 2 LG players as well.
For Luminosity, it's really just Classic who's shown up here in game number 1. I know, 11 and 19 out of Octane, 9 and 18 out of Saints. Slacked, he's had some moments, but not the prettiest of games. And you got to think, though, this is a Luminosity team that's going to start to heat up. We talked about how good they've been in the loser bracket. If you're Optic Gaming, you need to take advantage of this slow start, put a map on the board.
And who is it again? Crim was the man trying to hold the door at the beginning. They all get back, 3 down. Crim's the lone guy in a 1v1, and he wins it for his team, keeps the spawns, and Optic Gaming keep on racking on time. 2:13 now hit for Optic. You still have a bombardment for Formal. He's got FTL to work with. But Luminosity, can we get over to Octane a little bit? I want to see maybe what's going wrong with this. Like, he's 13 and 21. We know he's been a perennial all-star throughout the year. All right, never mind. It's all Karma right now, man. He's winning every 1v1 he sees in front of him.
Yeah, it's just some tough gunfights here for Octane. And Slack not able to take out Crim inside the hill. Saints follows it up. LG getting a lot of good time here. I know, still, it's a huge mountain to climb. They find themselves still down by more than 100, but I mean, we've seen crazy comebacks on this map.
Exactly, and I was about to say that. We've seen so many throughout the year. We haven't really had an insane 100-point comeback on Breakout yet. Surely it's going to happen once a chance, you would think, but is this the time? I don't think Optic, or I think Optic has other plans as they are now at 224. Formal trying to make plays at mid-map. Can't pick up the first, but as you look at the minimap, that number 8, which is Crim6, he's set up the next hard point as Scump picks up 2. He'll slow down an onside. Look at this, perfect timing, perfect position for Karma in behind 2. Tags 1, easy pickings on the next. He has been making plays all game long, and Optic just need 10 more here.
And with active camo in those streaks, it's going to be nearly impossible for LG to get back into this one.
Here we go, Crim trying to lock it down. Camo up for Karma as he's making plays outside showers, and Optic, they've taken game 1. You talked about the fact that these were 2 of the, I guess, the worst hard points for Optic Gaming. Now, granted, they're still at a plus 60% win rate in those, but they take that game 1. What's it like, though, for Optic, do you think, after you take the game one, you did that in your previous series and then kind of fell apart? Is that maybe lingering in your head a little bit?
It definitely is. You have to just block that out, though, one map at a time. It's the way you got to look at it. That you can't get too overhyped, too overamped. Like, I remember you went back and we saw the shots from Optic after they win that throwback hardpoint against Envy. They're getting up, they're going crazy. It's like after this first game, you did not see that. Just calm, collected. Now let's move on. We got to get game number 2. Just methodically work your way back into that grand final.
And I think the search and destroys are absolutely the most interesting part of this series because, again, we talk about the fact last year in 2016, the demise of Optic Gaming was the search and destroy at Champs. They were absolutely abysmal. It cost them. They got knocked out. This year, they are much, much better. Some consider them to be the best search team in the world. Then you talk about Luminosity on the other side. We have said time and time again, when LG can get to that point where they're winning 50, 60% of their search and destroys, they will be winning tournaments. They got to that point this year. But it only lasted, what, a month, 2 months maybe? And now they seem to have kind of slipped back down that slippery slope. To be fair, though, during this losers bracket run, they found a way to win some searches.
Yeah, they've been great in search and destroy. They dropped the S&D to Infuse, and they dropped the uplink to Rise. Those are the only 2 maps they dropped up until that hard point you just saw. Game number 2, though, definitely favors Optic Gaming. They've been fantastic in S&D, an 85% win rate on this next map coming up, be Retaliation. Then if you look on the side of LG, it's actually been their worst. So 4-8 on this map overall.
And one thing to note as well, obviously we've got a lot of games left here in this best of 5. But if Optic Gaming were to get back to the final, maybe you're a new viewer. We just came off our $500,000 Stage 2 playoffs, right? Very similar story. Waiting at the top was Envy. Optic had to go through them in 2 best of 5s. It is very, very rare when it happens.
It's different, though.
They've got to take this series first, though.
It's not the same.
It's Champs, man.
It's Champs.
I saw Looney just tweet.
It's not the same.
Looney from Rise Nation, he said, this tournament has confirmed there are Champs players. And I think I absolutely agree with you, bud.
You have players who get on the stage and just sometimes they just can't put it together. That you have on the side of Envy, JCap. He's just been dominant this event over the years. The whole Envy roster last year is fantastic. We've seen the boys on Optic Gaming show up big on this stage as well. There is definitely a factor there in terms of guys who can perform on this main stage and guys who just don't have it.
Let's talk, do you think that over-communication is an issue with sometimes teams like LG and Optic? When you have 4 guys that are Slayers fired up, you go to the listen-ins and they're just, it seems like they're going on all cylinders at all times, just screaming call-outs. But then you see the listen-in from Envy yesterday in that uplink, and it's like, John didn't put in a whole lot of communication. He was just slaying around the map. Apathy was involved, but it seemed like it was just JCap and Slasher kind of leading as the other 2 roamed and picked up kills. Do you think that's something maybe these teams struggle with that hurts them in a moment like Champs where Envy succeeds?
I don't really think so. I think it's just that, Envy, they know who the leaders are, the strategy guys are. And it's nobody else really needs to call strats. So that's why you see John and Apathy just following the lead of Slasher and JCap, only focusing on killing.
All right, round 1 here, game 2. If you're just joining us, welcome. Optic, Luminosity in the losers bracket final. Optic takes the game 1 on breakout. It'll be Karma as your bomb carrier here in our first round as he's inching up the lower street. Both teams on opposite sides here. That number 2 on the minimap, Formal, will be top plat. So if he holds that position, he's going to be the first one to likely engage, but they've all pushed across.
So the bomb will go down. LG has to coordinate a 4-man retake. It'll be Krim able to take out Classic there at the beginning. Slides around the corner. Karma takes out Saints. So now it'll be a 2v4. Just Slacked and Octane alive. Now it's just Octane here in the 1v2. Looking good for Optic to take round number 1.
Octane looking to clutch, put shots at one, pre-fires the door, but both push, and that's what happens when 2 E-Reds are coming at you. He melts pretty much immediately. A very difficult 1v2. It was actually K-Bar there for Karma, but he just was gone so quickly. I thought Scump got some shots in him as well.
Yeah, Octane had the right idea. Right, but just the pinch comes in great from Optic Gaming there. Able to take him out in the hotel hallway, so it'll be Optic taking a 1-0 round lead. So now it'll be LG on offense. This map has been extremely poor for them, and they need it in a bad way.
But when you talk about Optic and favorite maps, they were favored so heavily, I thought, in that Frost uplink, at least statistically, they drop it to Envy. Maybe Luminosity can give him some too. Classic, get to him, please. He's working on the ace. He's gotten 3 kills in a row. There they are, all 4. The quick ace for Classic. as he dominates round 2.
Classic is one of those big game players. You know, we talked a little bit about it right in the beginning. He is a guy who shows no emotion on the stage, regardless win or loss, always bounces back from tough games.
That was an ace in what, 10 seconds?
Yep. And that's a round you needed for LG, right? You go down 0-2, the crowd starts to get hyped. It's a game mode you're not great at. You need your big game players to step up in those situations.
Well, I think not only that, do you get the Luminosity fans into it? Yes, but you also silence the Optic fans, which I think is crucial in this venue to make big plays, try to keep that fan base out of it for Optic Gaming. But Karma now with 2, quickly into a 2v2, then very quickly into a 1v1. Octane versus Crim6, bomb down mid-map, players opposite sides.
And there's a hell of a lot of time here. I mean, a minute plus. And Crim does not really have to make a play here at the beginning of this. He can kind of take his time. Now he's spotted Octane. Able to take him out before Octane can get around the corner. Crim with the 1v1 clutch.
He's able to clutch it. That back plate made me nervous for a second. I was like, he's going to hit it. He might get away with his life, but nice accuracy there from Crim as he goes vertical and takes the 1v1. Shot of the Luminosity guys there. Octane dropping in that one. He'll look to rebound in our next round.
We'll see what Luminosity brings on the attack. I believe Classic up to 5 kills now. But they actually took away the camo from him in the search and destroys. I believe it's Octane running it now as well. So, you know, in a game like this where he starts off so hot, you would love to see him with that camo in his hands. He spots Formal all the way in the back there. We'll see what he decides to do. Maybe they try and work towards that other site.
I think it's worth mentioning for Octane too. And LG, you know, we talked about how poor they were in this particular game mode, but Octane's a guy that individually, he's gone from like, what, a 0.7 type KD at events all the way up to a 1-2 at many. He maybe one of the biggest improvements we've seen in a game mode for a player is Octane in Search and Destroy.
I would tend to agree there. So we'll get a view here. Classic able to get bombed down at B and get away with his life. That's huge. And you see, so Classic slides down into that bike shop there. They have Octane set up, so he's able to get one. But then both Classic and Octane fall there. Slack now, trying to work on a flank. Has to poke out, see if there's a player on this bomb.
Oh, he had some unfortunate timing. He might have spotted one immediately. Now 1 versus 3, Slack by himself. Just over 20 seconds to work with. Inching forward, Formal spotted him. Wins the first. Second drops him. Another round here for Optic Gaming.
And LG had the right play there. They slide into that bike shop. They bait the players out from OG. Octane wins 1. But I believe it was Classic and Octane who fell very quickly there, put Slack and Saints in a really tough spot.
And a reminder, both these teams playing in the losers bracket final. Winner headed to that grand final to play against Team Envious, your winners of last year's COD champs. And if you're JCap, you're looking for back-to-back-to-back rings. Pretty unbelievable story.
Just crazy to think somebody at Anaheim would have came up to me and said that Envy would be in the grand finals again with the same exact roster.
I would have slapped them in the face.
Okay, I would have just said they were great. Insane, I would have not have hit them, but the same type of vibe though. So, did not expect that at all. Envy has been fantastic throughout the weekend. It's Classic here, drawing first blood, as he has really tried to will LG to a win here in game number 2.
Well, that first blood basically goes away as Formal able to turn it into a 3 versus 3. Karma and company trying to work with Bomb. He gets tagged up a bit. He's going to be running right out. Look at the positioning of number 7. That's going to be Saints set up on the backside of Bridge. And he's going to pick him off. Nice positioning from Saints.
Now Saints just needs to play his life here. He's going to have teammates looking over him on the bridge. So Crim knows he can't just blindly run out there, try and challenge Saints. Knows he needs to deal with these players on top bridge. Able to take out Classic. Now they know where they have Saints pinned. See how Optic plays it.
2v2, 30 seconds. Formal knows he's got him in the corner, has to back down and reload.
So a lot of players hide in that bush. They don't know if Saints is hiding in the bush around the corner, and oh, right there. So 1v1 now we have between Formal and Octane.
Here we go. Bomb planted. 2 of the best NV4s in the game. Octane's going high off the wall run, doesn't shoot. Spots him. A big 1v1 win there for Formal. Crim6, you know, he was playing spoiler as well, as he was able to get in behind several members, but nice shots there from Formal. Put it out the 4-1 lead.
And Saints probably comes around that corner because he thinks Formal's probably backed up into Cathedral and he can get to that tank. They can put a lot of pressure on him, but comes blindly around the corner. Formal's there, able to win the engagement. Then Formal gets bombed down, wins the 1v1. As every 1v1 scenario has gone in favor of Optic Gaming here in map number 2. Classic with first blood yet again. The guy cannot do much more than he's doing right now. LG gets their second round.
Yeah, it's like he's got first blood in 3, and 2 of those, when he had the ace in like 10 seconds. This round was even faster as they just steamrolled through Optic. Big round there from LG. You know, it's just a very, you're looking at what, 4-2 versus 5-1. That's a big, big round here.
And it's very difficult for LG on this map because it's so large. You have to use a lot of strategy, you know, misdirection type of plays. Now they excel on search and destroys like Crusher and Throwback, where they can just 4-man push things out. This is a map that you can't really do too much of that.
Formal almost getting a kill through the wall bang there. Spots one. Jesus, his shot looks good right now. 5 and 5 if he picks off one in bike. First blood to Optic Gaming.
And they have bomb planted as well. It's going to be a very hard retake here for LG. A lot of open area here on the bridge. Octane puts shots in one. 2 players here. Karma there to trade it out. He does earn camo though. Classic. Able to make this a 2v2. 19 seconds left though. LG needs to get on bomb here shortly.
Slot can't win it. 1v1. It's on Classic. Not enough time. Optic Gaming gets their 5th round.
These rounds are extremely close. We're getting a lot of 2v2 situations, 1v1s, and they are not the type of rounds that LG excels at. I mean, this has been kind of how they've lost a lot of search and destroys throughout the year, where they end up in these 1v1s, 2v2s, and just these situational plays they don't play correctly.
Could this be the final round for Optic Gaming to push this to a 2-0 advantage? Octane, your superstar from Luminosity, has camo ready and waiting.
You almost have to use it this round, right? You're down 5-2. You need this round, obviously, to continue play.
Give yourselves a chance, right?
Right.
Scarab out from Optic. They may play behind this. They spot them on the bomb. Tags him. Scump's gonna go. Knows he's in the corner. But he gets picked. What a kill from Classic.
Classic has been unreal here in game number 2. As right there, you know, when the Scarab comes down, Classic can't get back into Bike Shop. They were going for that same play they did earlier. Forces him into the corner. He gets taken out there by Formal.
Krem making plays. 2v2. 20 seconds to go. Formal spotted one in the back. Knows he has him scaffolding, but he's by himself. Wins the first. 1 versus 1. FTLs. He's inside a bike. No time to work with. Tucked away in a corner is Saints. Time's up. Round goes to LG.
Saints able to pick up the kill here at the end as well. Can LG battle back here in game number 2? You get a round win here. You go on defense.
How many times this year have we talked about these 2-5 comebacks? It's happened so many times. I know Optic served LG a 2-5 comeback. That might have been 1-5, but they've come back on LG before. We've seen it so many times throughout the year. It seems to be that magic round count because you get one, then all of a sudden the payloads come into play. One mistake from the team with 5 can turn everything.
I was just going to say, you get one bad use of a payload, it's a pretty easy comeback to make happen. Classic with yet another kill.
He has 12, Matt. That's a dozen.
Trying to fall back here. He will fall at the hands of Formal. You do have the camo in the hands of Octane here. He is the one who needs to make a play.
He has to use it here. I mean, you have to. He just spotted, I think maybe he didn't spot him. Now he's by himself. Now you certainly don't have a choice. 1 versus 3 for Octane. 50 seconds on the clock. Knows bomb is planted. Now has to make a play. Didn't spot him outside. Gets time. And that is it. Optic take game 2. Well, so much for that percentage earlier, where only 2 out of 7 teams and then knocked into the losers bracket from that winners final and come back to take it. Optic seems to be doing it. It's not over, but they're up 2-0.
They're looking good right now.
And if you're Luminosity, this dream losers bracket run very, very close to coming to an end, but we're gonna be heading to precinct. You know, quick before we go to a break, talk to me statistically, who's got the advantage here if we talk about that map?
You would say Optic Gaming does. I believe it's, I know, their second best uplink map, but you know, their best was Frost. We just saw them lose that to Envy.
It's true.
And then this series would get scary. Say you go back to a hard point. We know what LG can do in terms of slaying. And then a game 5 is always a toss-up. We have not had many game 5s this weekend, but this series could head there.
I believe when I looked at it before the previous series, we've had 74 best of 5s played. There have only been 11 game 5s this entire weekend. So you're right, we have not seen many. They are special, they are memorable, and we're hoping for a couple here down the stretch. But guys, it is the precinct uplink coming up next. Can Luminosity bring it back? We'll find out after this quick break. Welcome back to the Losers Bracket Final. It's a G Fuel key player matchup, Optic Gaming, Luminosity Gaming, and it is 2 NV4 studs in this one.
This is one of the better head-to-head matchups we have in competitive Call of Duty. These two guys with the NV4 in their hands are so talented. See Octane doing a little bit more in the OBJ department. Formal doing a nice job with the kills. This game number 3 is going to be a brutal match, Maeve. I feel like if LG can take this game 3, we're looking at a game 5.
Let's see if Octane and company can do it. Push this series the distance, get back to another grand final this year. That'll do it for your G Fuel key player matchup.
Matt Piper is a serious-faced goofball. Depends how well you know me, but in-game and out-of-game around the gaming community, I'm very serious. My life before video games was competitive still. You know, obviously sports as a kid, just normal kid stuff, going to the movies, hanging out with friends, stuff like that. And then once I realized video games were an option to pursue as a career, I took it very serious, and that's kind of where everything took off. As I was coming up, the amount of people that said, this kid is really good online, but you're not gonna do it at a tournament, that kind of like eats at you as a player. Just because if I'm waiting for months and I go to a tournament and I don't play the same way as I did online, I gotta wait months again to even have a chance to prove myself.
Optic Gaming starting to generate a bit of momentum. They know what is at stake here. You're finally back on top.
Playing at this level, it's hours and hours and hours of doing the same thing over again. Getting on every day, playing the same maps, the same game type with the same people, but every day you're trying to find one little new thing that will help your team grow. That's the whole purpose of putting those hours in. Even if we are, you know, doing well and winning tournaments, we want to keep, you know, the bar just keep going and going and going. First is what I expect no matter what. Anything else is a failure. There's no reason why we shouldn't be winning. And if there is a tournament that we do lose, it's on us. It's not because the talent isn't there or because there's another team that's better than us.
Karma going for the kill. Formal hug to you. 1v1 situation is all coming over. And a full win the 1v1. Optic Gaming, we will see you fudging later. 2 COD champs back to back.
This has been the story.
For the obvious elephant in the room that we haven't won a Call of Duty championship. We think that we're the best team, which is why we've stuck together even after those disappointing finishes. But until we win Call of Duty champs, we're not going to be considered the greatest Call of Duty team ever. I don't even know how many tournaments we won together, honestly. But because we haven't won those 2 since we've been a team, it's like those don't even count. When the big one comes and you don't win it, then what is the other tournaments, like what do those mean?
Formal with 2. The numbers he puts up, the slang he brings to this team. Formal first right, the push comes in, and Formal wins the 1v1.
If you want to be the next Formal, you got to know how many hours you're going to have to put in realistically. Just thousands and thousands of hours. You can't just expect to be good or go pro just because you're better than the 5 kids at your school that you play with. If you want to be the best, then you will put the time in. You won't make any excuses, you'll just do it. I'll stop playing when I feel like I'm holding other people back. If I think that I'm not performing to the best of my ability like I should be, as a player and a person, you know, it's very selfish if you just keep competing. When everything's done, I want everybody to look back and always think about Formal as the best FPS player of all time. That's what I want my legacy to be.
I've known Formal for a long time. I've casted him through multiple FPS franchises, and I can assure you, I have never met anyone more that cares like about his legacy, about how people view him when it is said and done. He wants to be known as the greatest. He doesn't want there to be a conversation about anybody else. He's hungry, man. This could be the year.
It is a great quality to have, but in a match of this magnitude, you know, a tournament of this magnitude, start thinking about legacy. Start thinking about the pressure, the fan base. What happens if I lose? I have to wait an entire another year to get a shot. It's stuff you can't really focus on in the moment. Like, you just need to focus on the game, focus on the match. Everything else will right itself once you get that win.
Well, this game 3 could be a way to cement his legacy by getting into the grand final, or will the other side of the stage, Luminosity, try to start a reverse sweep here on the world's biggest stage for Call of Duty. It's Precinct Uplink. And this should be a real gym. I mean, if it's anything close to what we had yesterday in that NB series versus United.
If you're Luminosity on the stage, you think, look, we take the uplink. We don't. Hardpoint's our best game mode. It's been our bread and butter all year long. You don't expect, pretty much, Saints, Octane, and Slack not to show up again. They're going to play better. You give yourself a fighting chance, and there you force a game 5. Literally, in a game 5 scenario in this exact match, anything could happen. You would throw, all previous, records, stats out the window.
Formal in groups went 43-18 on this map, setting the all-time record for Infinite Warfare. I don't know if he can do that against LG, but you gotta have a feeling he's in for a big one.
Optic tosses drone down, trying to pick up the kills here. Be one from Crim. Karma will grab drone. That'll be 3 kills. Here's going to be a point for Optic Gaming. They connect on that 1-point throw, and look at this, maybe they have some players back towards mid-map, so maybe you convert this into more points.
They're trying to, because Karma's still right under the uplink. He's able to win 2 big ones. Trying to get across, the pass doesn't get through. Slacked actually trying to play spoiler, but Formal's going to clean everything up. Now the dish is going to come in, an easy alley-oop, and there's a dunk. 3-0 Optic Gaming.
And let's go on board with Karma real quick. 3-1 on a 2 streak. I was looking to see those score streaks, so it does not earn anything there. You obviously get points towards your score streaks. I know when you go through that portal, so a few kills and some scores, maybe you have.
I mean, a perfect start right now for Optic. Yeah, 3-0 lead. Luminosity hasn't even been able to look at the drone until now for the most part. Formal starting out hot, 7-2. They've got the drone pushing back towards Statue. Formal, the man behind, he's going to be setting up the dish if he can, but it's the toss away. Interception is there, picked out of the sky by Luminosity. One of many defensive stands they're going to need in this one.
So we'll see if LG can turn this into points. You find yourself down 2 possessions here. But I think if you can go into the second half, tied, even down 1, still in a decent spot. Classic with 1 kill. Trying to advance forward, Octane with another. It's a big kill there from Classic. That's going to be 3 dead for Optic Gaming. It'll be Crim 6, the last one up. And look at this push coming in from LG.
Surely should be points. 1-pointer through. Luminosity now on the board. Great job clearing out Ticket in that back alley. And they are able to strike back. Classic. 5-5 right now. Nice shots there. He's going to beam Crim, unfortunately, as he is low health. Everyone funneling into Scump. Between Scump and Karma, you knock out 3 of the LG members. And where Karma is standing right now, this is such a pivotal position on the map for either side. Tell me why, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, you control this Statue. You can just back the other team up into their own base, and you just see how much map control Karma gives Optic Gaming here. So the drone's trying to come through. They actually throw it into the back of the base, and it's going to bounce off the wall. Karma gets a 2-point play. So they bring the drone down towards construction. Karma pushes all the way clean through that top side. They get a 2.
And it might not be a big deal in the end, but I think he gets kind of an incidental melee there. He was, what, 75, I think, off the Trinity rocket. Falls just a little bit short. So I think 2 times Karma's gotten awfully close. Classic, man. So dirty with this E-Red. 3 streak for him, 9-7. As quickly as Optic scored, Luminosity look at the counter back. There's another 1-point toss. Luminosity just trying to keep it close, right? If we learned anything yesterday, no lead is safe. As you saw, United up 10 in the first half, 12 unanswered in the second half from Envy. I mean, that is, I think, once a lifetime type of game for the most part, but still, there are insane swings that can happen here on Precinct.
Well, look, in uplink, in general, I mean, give yourself a chance to win the game at the end once those abilities start to come online. Once you see, your active armors, your overdrives, your active camos, you make it a manageable game. You get those abilities first. You have a great chance to win a lot of uplink.
Saints. As much as we talk about, Crim kind of being the catalyst for Optic at times and needing to go big, I think Saints falls into that for me. When he is playing like an MVP and destroying, LG is an absolute terrifying force. When he plays maybe not to that base, and like we saw for the first 4 months of the year or so, LG weren't contenders.
No, I think Saints' performance is a big reason why this team has seen a lot of success over the last few months. It'll be a kill there from Formal. It'll be a defensive stand from Luminosity. So now you see the drone being pushed down here towards Cherry Blossom. You see Octane, he's just going to throw it. Now your job here is to just slay out here in the street. They're going to rely on him to get a pick, and then try and push this drone up. If you were LG right now, if you're in their comms, look, let's just get a 1-point play here. They get a 2-point game going into the half number 2.
Octane doing everything he can. Needs a little bit of support finally. As he goes vertical, several players waiting, and a stand from Optic Gaming there to push back the forces of Luminosity. With 10 seconds on the clock in the first half, does not appear any more points will be coming through as no one in a position to make a play. 5-2, Optic Gaming. They are 5 minutes away from sweeping LG and heading to a grand final.
You see Formal there, all smiles. Everything's going smooth here for Optic Gaming. And I think, look, this is a series where I was actually extremely worried for Optic coming into it, right? I thought Luminosity, they've been on a tear through the loser bracket.
Everybody was. I mean, all the casters, all the analysis thought this was a very, very scary series for Optic Gaming. Not only their history between the two teams, but like you said, the run Luminosity's been on.
But I think both teams kind of play the same way. It's where if Optic knows they just win gunfights, they're going to win this series. I think when you go up against Envy, it's a little bit different, right? And Envy is going to make you pay for your mistakes. They're going to take advantage of it. They're not just going to try and outsell you to make you think a little bit more. So I think you're seeing Optic playing much better in this type of matchup.
Saints trying to hold lobby, him and Slack getting it done. Saints now going to push out and find the kill. There's one more defender to beat right now. I believe that's Formal trying to play defense. He does get the first onto Slack. Backs up Saints as well. So Formal as that lone man doing a good job trying to help Optic Gaming come off a spawn. Crimsic, the member that does come off, is able to find two. Him and Formal combined to clear out basically the entire push, and that resets it.
Yeah, and Formal with the NV4 in the back. I mean, that is why that push stall is out there for LG. Nobody can get close to tagging him up. Then you see Crim and Scump fly in. Okay, Barney red in hand. They're able to clean up everybody else.
Well, now maybe a chance on offense here for Optic. We only have two players up, but Scump and Formal might be enough to do it. They take out two, but Drone is already towards the LG base. They'll be able to wrap it, toss it out for reset if they like. You opt to wrap because you have no pressure towards mid-map. That'd be an easy pickup from Optic Gaming. So they're going to take it all the way down towards Cherry Blossom. It's Formal trying to pick off the reinforcements in the back. As his teammates drop, he's going to know what's up. Nice shots there. Gonna challenge the next. My God, somebody's feeling confident right now. But the streak will end at 6. Formal now out to 21 and 14. But as the drone resets, no points will be coming in for either side. And all those kills really did was make sure Luminosity couldn't make a play.
Slack gonna miss a lot of shots to the NV4, finally able to connect. But LG, they're winning some engagements here towards the middle of the map, so they're getting drone control. It's just a second wave. This is where all their pushes have stalled out here in the second half. Just, now they have the drone right in a good area over here in that top side of the map. It's just these kills. Now they're not able to get that first initial pick at range, then flood on in.
Well, I think what's scary is, yeah, you haven't even got that past statue. Like, you haven't had one setup even at the block that you tried to push towards. There's been, I mean, basically no offense so far on this side from Luminosity, and the clock is on Optic's side. Yeah, play a slow game. I don't care if any more points go through if I'm an Optic player. We'll stall this out, but as I say that, they've got a chance for points. Scump looking to dish out the window. Doesn't want one, he wants two. 7-2, Optic Gaming.
Scump jumps out the front window as Karma right underneath him. They're able to pick up that kill, put in a 2-point score. Luminosity needs to go big here in the final 2 minutes, but Optic now with drone control yet again.
Formal just killed all 4, and then Karma killed him.
Formal has played fantastic here in the uplink. An interception there for LG. So let's see, this is where they need to make a play. They need to get a score on this push.
The push developing down towards Cherry Blossom. Octane, overdrive to work with. Good job by Crimsic staying alive, but you are able to pick off Karma. 3v3 now on the push. Nice grenade, nice shots. The trophy, though, able to at least keep people alive for another day. And there's another defensive stand. I know it's not really LG in an aggressive position per se to put points on the board, but you know, winning them at Cherry Blossom, it allows for 1, quick counterattacks, and 2, I mean, you just don't even allow a position for a 1-point toss from Luminosity.
Yeah, you needed a score there on that push. I think if you're Luminosity, you know, even if it was a 1, you know, put a little pressure on Optic, but Optic has just held on so strong. And see there, Octane trying his best, picks up 2, pops the overdrive, trying to get by Scump. Optic holding serve here on defense, just 1 minute away from closing out this series.
And if Optic make it back, it's looking like it. How familiar is this? Just 2 weeks ago at our Stage 2 playoffs, the $500,000 tournament leading into champs. Envy waiting in the final. Optic got there through losers and then had to beat Envy in 2 best-of-5s. It's a very familiar feeling, but this isn't a Stage 2 playoff. This is COD champs, and it is a very different story. But Crimsix add an insult to injury.
That was the dagger.
And if you're Formal, you talked about the fact he hasn't won a champs and he has to come up big. He's 35-19. And there's a dunk to seal it. LG made a valiant run through the losers bracket, but the run, it ends here in your losers bracket final. Optic Gaming is moving on for the rematch with Team Envious. Man, I have no damn idea who's going to take this. This should make for one of the greatest finals all time. And you've got 2 members on this Optic team again that have won a champs, 2 that have not, in Formal and Scump. So much pressure on them to perform. And if you're Envy, you won it last year. Yeah, there's pressure because it's champs, but it is not the same magnitude.
Envy, a much different team, though, than the team that Optic Gaming beat at the Stage 2 playoffs. You remember back to that tournament, Envy, they could not get anything going in the respawn game modes. Extremely poor. They were getting by the search and destroys and really some insane performances from Slasher. Today, though, a whole different Envy. This weekend, a different Envy. You're getting Apathy back, MVP John back, JCap making big plays. It's going to be a hell of a match.
Familiar territory to what we saw at Stage 2 playoffs. In the losers bracket, Optic had to go through LG. They 3-0'd them there. They 3-0 them here. And once again, it's Envy waiting in the grand final. Benson, boys, break it down.
Thank you very much, Maven. Benson in the studio, joined by my wonderful panel. As always, of course, World Champ Team, COD XP Champ Merc, and then in between these two lovely Europeans. I love how the European color scheme of the day seems to be kind of like a pink and blue. That was very well.
Great job, guys.
Thanks, Joe.
Great coordination.
Thanks, Joe. But we should mention, of course, now for just the 3rd time all year, the team that has lost, of course, in the winners bracket final has made it into the grand final. It's no easy thing to do, team. But to be honest, Optic Gaming made that look easy.
Yeah, they just proved me wrong. I thought LG was going to put up a better showing in that one. Optic, though, Formal taking over, especially in that last map. Very, very impressive to say the least. And another rematch of that winter final. Man, I think Optic's looking a little bit different this time around.
Just a little bit. Formal has definitely found that MVP strike. I hate to sound like Maven. I do. I know Maven always preaches about it, but to be honest, Bryce, what can you say about this man? He is just that good.
When you're snapping as clean as he is, and he's just able to pick up everything, plus his team's doing a really good job of baiting out for him. You constantly see like either Scump or Crimtix flying out in front. Formal's just able to pick up 1 or 2 really, really cleanly, and probably the best example of an NV4 running this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, he's been very, very efficient, that's for sure. We'll go ahead and talk a little bit about that series, although it was over pretty much as quickly as you could blink. Obviously, map number 1, Karma. That was the key difference, Momo. I mean, he actually started very, very well, and you see what happens. Optic Gaming built themselves a huge lead.
Yeah, I put on my note sheet, Karma, hardpoint, question mark, because this isn't the first time. You know, even in the series that they lost on Scorch, he was kind of like carrying them, and they lost. And going into this hardpoint, he's had that same stat line. Now, I don't know if he's going to be able to keep this up in the grand final. If he does, Optic Gaming, they're a team to be really, really reckoned with. Envy should be worried, but Karma, for me, is kind of that one that kind of shows up in Search and Destroy. He'll do the baiting, like Bryce said, with the likes of Formal, but he seems to be in his element. You know, he's in his own little zone, he's picking up those kills, and you know what? They made that first map look easy.
The story of this tournament has really just been the role players, right? Obviously, coming into this one, Crim, Karma, they played very poorly versus Team Envious. Right here, Classic plays well, Octane does okay, but Saints and Slack, those are the 2 guys who, when you typically talk about matchups, they're the guys who sort of turn the odds in Luminosity's in their favor. Right. I mean, those are the 2. If they step up, they're very hard to stop. Just not a great performance from those guys.
A 1.86 from Formal. That is
oh my god,
pretty ridiculous stat line for him, that's for sure. But looking at that map number 1 team, it felt very much to me, and I'm curious to get your opinion on this, that LG may have just run out of steam. They went into losers bracket round 1. You've got to make that big run. They're playing more games than anyone else here. That to me just looked like they were deflated.
If that match was yesterday, I might agree with that sentiment, but you've only played 1 game today. That you got to be ready to go. They had a rest after beating Rise, you know, making it to that sort of scenario. The fact that's no excuse at this point. I feel like coming out flat in a series like that, they know what's on the line. They know what Optic Gaming they're going to play, especially after a tough loss like that. Optic Gaming looked pissed, and they wanted to take it out on LG. That's exactly what they did.
Yeah, it definitely is. We'll talk a little bit now, of course, about map number 2, the Search and Destroy. This one, again, goes in Optic Gaming's favor, and I feel like, to be honest, honest, Bryce, this was the one map that you would expect Optic Gaming to take. LG's search has always been very shaky.
Yeah, I think so, realistically, and there was a little glimmer of hope there. I thought Classic had a very good start, you know, when he picked out the ace, but it didn't really ever kind of feel like they were going to take that S&D. I thought for a lot of the time, Optic Gaming were just in the better position. You saw Crimson make a massive play there when he actually ended up taking down Classics, which again allowed Formula to make his plays. He managed to back off and just played it smart. How often do we talk about how clinical and how good at trading Optic Gaming are? This is a prime example of it.
And one of the key things that stood out to me the most, Momo, I'm curious to see if you agree with this. Saints 1-5 start. He played so well earlier in the day, and he just couldn't carry it through.
Yeah, it's difficult to watch, especially kind of this in the later stages of this tournament. I actually had the pleasure of casting him before against Rise. He started slow on both hardpoint 0 and 4. You know, coming into this one, he was picking it up in those. But again, it's that slow start which really can punish you. If you're in a game mode like Search and Destroy and you find yourself 4-1 down, it's very hard to come back, especially if you're giving that Optic Gaming team, you know, a lot of hype, a lot of energy. They're very hungry. And once again, Formal, what was it? First map 1.86, second map 1.67.
I think he wants a ring, Phil.
I think he wants a ring, a check, a trophy,
MVP award.
MVP.
Give him another check, for the MVP award.
He wants it all.
Definitely does.
Yeah, and when you just saw sort of the later rounds, just as the rounds progressed, you just saw a lot of 2v2s, you know, 3v2 sort of skirmishes, and that's where Optic just, they looked better than Luminosity, just plain and simple. Every one of those situations they were able to clutch up, and that reminded me of Stage 2 playoffs. That was sort of the key to them winning that tournament, was that clutch factor. All 4 players playing extremely well. It's a very good sign if you're an Optic fan.
It definitely is. I mean, what a way to bounce back, of course. Let me go over to map number 3, the uplink. And this is when I kind of looked over you and Joe, and I was like, this isn't going to be good, is it? And you're like, probably not for LG. Team Optic Gaming, again, in uplink, just they found that kind of flow. Crim6 as well had a good start.
I think that sort of sequence of plays where Karma stayed alive for so long at that balcony portal, and then Formal was just kind of looking over him. The fact that those two guys were able to stay alive so long, it just seemed like LG could never get that comfortable wrap back to the base. Karma was able to get that sick pass over the building. I really wanted to highlight that play. I'm glad we caught that on the replay. The fact that they coordinated that throw over from that little construction area to get that dunk. Just next level plays coming in from Optic Gaming. Just great baiting overall from the rest of the team to get Formal, you know, a massive amount of kills.
I think realistically, when you look at this map, this is almost LG saying, yeah, we're not really going to go any further in this tournament, are we? And I actually ended up stopping making notes here because I just felt like if LG weren't going to come out hard in the hard point and then the S&D wasn't going to go their way, by the time we got to the uplink, Optic Gaming are almost like an engine, right? And they need that starter motor going, but once you get that engine going, they are just going to power through. Luminosity pretty much did nothing for me to go, yeah, they're going to turn this around now. They didn't look in control. They weren't able to kind of control the Optic powerhouse. And then Formal again, you know, so crisp, so clean.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing to me. Every time Luminosity finally got drone control, that first push towards the Optic Gaming base was just shut down, either by Scump or Formal. They just did a really great job of not allowing Luminosity to set up any sort of spawn traps. Again, when you look at this...
Does that say 1.85?
It does. But again, when you look at that series, Saint Slack just did not have good games.
He had 39 deaths in the series.
It's pretty good.
That's like a pub stat for a whole series. Like
what? Plus 33.
At this stage in the tournament, your KD, you expect it to, you know, sort of level out a bit nearer towards 1. His is going up. That was a loser final at COD Champs, and it's going up, his KD.
Is this going to be a record? It's got to be a record, right?
I would bet.
I'm sure like there are higher KDs in tournaments, but those obviously kind of tend to drop off towards the end.
Is there? I mean, he just put a 1.85 on LG.
I'm sure, is there ever been a stat line where a team in the grand final, running up to the grand final, has had a KD that high?
I just want to put a stat out there. Formal was first coming into today at a hard point, 1.72. He was first in uplink at a 1.48. However, he wasn't first with only a 1.5 on Search and Destroy.
Just a 1.5.
I mean,
come on, step up.
That's silly.
Step up. I mean, to your point, Bryce, I think the only time that I could think of where that would be the case was probably 2014 with the Complexity Squad when you guys just steamrolled through. But I mean, what was the highest one there?
I think Pat and Grim had like a 1.35, not let alone like a 1. What does he have right now overall? Like a 1.6, something like that.
It's going to be high. It's definitely going to be very, very high. But I mean, you would almost imagine it's impossible to lose a tournament when you have a player getting that many kills. But of course, we'll wait and see. The stage has now well and truly been set for our grand final. It's a rematch at the winners bracket final. We've seen this matchup for so many times throughout Call of Duty esports history. Optic Gaming versus Team Envious. Now, if you are new to competitive Call of Duty, it is important to note that Optic Gaming, if they want to be your 2017 CWL champions, must defeat Team Envious in 2 best-of-5s, simply because Team Envious, of course, they have not lost yet here in our championship bracket. And I guess that's the question. That is the question. Joe, can Optic Gaming beat Team Envious twice with Apathy and John playing on that MVP-like form?
Well, it was Apathy and Slasher, and those were the two that really just dominated. They controlled the series, but can they do it? Can Optic do it? Absolutely. We saw them do it at Stage 2 playoffs. If you're Envy, I feel like the first series, you have to make it go as long as possible. Try to drag it out to a Game 5. If they allow Optic to 3-0 very, very quickly, like we just saw them do versus Luminosity, you get very nervous as an Envy fan. I mean, if you're an Envy, of course you want to close on the first one, but if they can't make it a long one, try to go the stretch.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, it's worth reiterating what is on the line here on Championship Sunday. Their share of $1.5 million. So much money. First place, $600,000. Second place, $200,000. So no pressure. It's only a $400,000 disparity between first and second there. So that's $100,000 per player. That's the difference. That is so much money. And obviously, I know Teat, Momo, and Merc were on the desk earlier on when I said, you know, you look at this series head-to-head. Optic Gaming previously was 8-1 versus Envy. Now, of course, 8-2. You look at Hardpoint, it was 9-4, now 10-5, 7-2 S&D, now 7-3, and Uplink was 8-1. And I said before the game started, throw stats out the window. Stats mean nothing. But as of right now, Optic Gaming still has never beaten Team Envious at Champs. Bryce, how's it looking in your opinion here?
Honestly, I feel like the losing for Optic Gaming, it was probably a little bit of a relief, right? Because the amount of pressure coming into this championship for this Optic Gaming squad was so high. Third time you're taking a run at it, third time you're the #1 team coming in.
Yeah.
You then take a loss, they get the chance to go against Luminosity, kind of builds back up that morale, right? They're now going to be coming back at Team Envious with some fire in their belly, right? They're going to be hot, they're coming out, they're confident again. If I was Envy, this is going to be a very different game. They're going to have to really try to dampen on them. The first hard point may dictate the tempo of the rest of it, just simply because of how their mindsets are going to work.
That's very true, very true. It is worth mentioning, we talked a little bit about our Astro Gaming MVP. That is going to be decided on Overtime. Overtime, of course, is the show which will conclude this year's Call of Duty World Championship. It's going to be immediately following the Grand Finals matchup, where our Astro MVP will be announced. You'll have Doug Sensor Martin as our special guest on that show, as well as Quentin Rampage Jackson. You do not want to miss that. You can check that out at mlg.tv/overtime. And honestly, I'm so excited for this grand final. I really am. There's so many storylines. Optic Gaming already now has secured their highest ever placement for the Call of Duty World Champions. Of course, a guaranteed second place. Their highest prior was third. And for JCap, remember, he's playing for another ring. And that's the great part, because on the flip side, of course, you have Karma playing for another ring. This is the battle of the rings right here. Someone is walking away with 3 rings, Momo. 3 rings!
Someone's walking away with 3 rings. There's currently 8 rings on that stage. And, you know, we're giving out another 4. But is it kind of like you said, Jordan Kaplan, Mr. Jetpack?
This is the Jetpack.
Does he win back-to-back championships? That creates a storyline, because I think if we asked everyone here, would Envy be in that grand final, I think across the board, none of us would have said that. Does Karma pick up his 3rd? Does Scum get his 1st? I think that's like a bit of a story. Formal as well. If you're asking the question, it's a tough one. How do you answer that question?
Whichever one plays better. That's the.
There you go,
No,
Joe.
seriously, I feel like Karma and JCap, they're sort of the difference makers between these two teams. You know what you're going to get out of your star players, but when Optic struggles, it's typically Karma or Krim.
Yeah.
When Envy struggles, it's typically John or Cap. We saw a little bit of that in the winners final. Luckily, they were able to bring it back, but in terms of a better stat line, you definitely want to see more from those two.
You definitely do. I mean, talking about Team Envious now in terms of their tournament, it is miraculous to many that they made it to another grand final. Of course, they are the reigning Call of Duty World Champions, the only team ever in Call of Duty history to defend their championship. Not only are they defending it, they actually made it all the way to the grand final with a chance of going back-to-back. Of course, for JCap on your far left there, this is not only back-to-back, this is back-to-back-to-back chances. He could definitely be the king of Jetpack Call of Duty. I mean, there's a look at some of their stats. Still 100% uplink win ratio, team.
and that's completely fantastic. The fact they were able to get that comeback yesterday, that's when you felt the magic for these 4 guys right here. John really stepped up to his performance, but talking about the overview of this series, I think Envy really has their work cut out for them in this first best of 5. I don't think Crim on the side of Optic's gonna have that like 0.5 under, under a 1.0 KD once again. He's been fantastic for the whole tournament. But man, Apathy and Slasher, they were just too much to handle in that winner bracket final. If they can just replicate anything like that, man, that's the MVP battle.
There it is. And you have to look at sort of Envy's resume, just this tournament. In the winners bracket, every single game was tough. You 3-1 Epsilon, you 3-0 Ghost, you 3-1 E-United, and then you 3-0 Optic. Like, that is impressive in itself. And if they're
unbelievable.
Yeah, every single round was difficult for them. I mean, these guys have just flew under the radar, back into our grand final, and here we are again.
Once again, of course, the big map that really stands out to me, I'm curious to get your opinion, Bryce, was that uplink yesterday. That comeback, they were 10-0 down, and the communication was, for lack of a better word, just beautiful.
Yeah, possibly one of the greatest comebacks, possibly just the greatest comeback.
Team gave up full sale.
Yeah,
he gave up full sale early, right?
That was crazy.
Not just in the way they did it, but where they did it. Main stage, the World Championship, the pressure really is on. It's very easy to get despondent at this kind of stuff, right? Like you're 10-0 down, you got to try and maybe wipe the map out of your mind and keep going. No, they rally. You can hear them getting more and more hype. They never gave up. And if they can get into that same mindset here in the grand final, that's going to be a scary team.
I've got to say that their uplink is incredible. I think, that 5 minutes where they went 10-0 down, yeah, that was pretty shocking, I will be honest. That was a glimpse, in Envious' uplink all weekend long, all week long. We've been here for 5 days and they are still 100%. It's very hard to argue, how they lose that uplink going into it. But Optic Gaming, I think, like Bryce said, they've got a different fire in that belly right now. They've fought back. They've defeated a team which has caused them so much trouble this whole year, and they've 3-0'd it. And now they come in, and I think for these guys now, they probably think, we beat LG 3-0, we can beat anyone.
The difference to me as well, just the energy in the room, right? As soon as Optic comes out and beats Envy in game number 1, crowd erupts, Formal Scump, they go nuts because they drop dual 40s. After that, though, it's like, all right, we lose the next 3 games. You could tell in that game versus Luminosity, very cool, calm, and collected. Let's not throw out all that energy. We just lost. You have to get back in sort of that zen, back in that mindset.
And speaking on that map that they lost against Envious in the winter bracket final, that Scorch, that was one of the worst hard points I've seen from Optic in quite a while. Yeah. There was a situation where they were fighting scrap time at that end of the second hill, not focusing on the rotation over towards that hangar side. And yes, you look at that win rate, you say, Teep, what are you talking about? But it's the individual heads-up plays that are the game-changing difference in these sort of scenarios. You're playing against Envious. They're not going to make a mistake like that. They're not going to be fighting for, stupid scrap time. You got to be perfect.
And I think that's the key point. That hardpoint win rate, yeah, 90.9%. But how many teams are there out there that have the Call of Duty intelligence to punish those mistakes? That's why that's so high. And Team Envious, in my opinion, is one of those teams that can do it. I mean, we saw them do it, right? So we know they're capable of it. But for Optic Gaming, the thing that stood out to me there is their S&D. We praise them. Best S&D team in the game. Best in the world. This event, they've been dropping maps.
They certainly have it, and to be honest with you, I think it's maybe just the level of talent here at the World Championship. We've seen, S&D specialists, we've seen lower ranked teams make great S&D plays coming through. Coming into this one, some teams are trying to get the best practice, they're trying to figure out counters. I think S&D may be one of the most kind of tactical game modes. They will have definitely prepped exactly what they need to do in every situation, including on the maps they're not particularly great at. So Optic Gaming, they know it's been a weakness last year at Champs. That definitely would have been weighing on their mind this year coming into it.
Obviously, Teep, Joe, you guys have been sat on that kind of stage in this exact kind of scenario.
Not that kind of stage.
That
kind of stage.
But in this scenario, of course, a grand final of $1 million tournament, you both walked away with big wins. Obviously, there's so many people out there that are never going to experience exactly what that is. You just turned into an angel, by the way, on that side. Right there, as I'm saying, you won $1 million tournament. But in all seriousness, though, there's thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that are never, ever, ever going to get to experience what that feels like. As a player, what's going through your mind when you're sat warming up on that main stage?
Get me in the game. I mean, that's just it. If you're Optic, when you have to win 2 series, 1 game at a time, when you're Envy, respond. That's been their sort of X factor. Every time Optic can win a map, they can respond. They can beat them in search and destroy. In Uplink, we saw it just happen. if you're Optic, you know you have 6 maps to win. You're just counting them down. Every time you get a 1, we have 5 left, 4 left, 3 left. It goes fast, man. You have to just sort of take your time, play your game, just try to get into that practice mode. Just calm down as much as you can.
Joe's completely right. Level-headed, as calm as possible, but yet you're keeping the communication going. You're just talking about anything at this point. You're warming up. You want to give each other props. You want to focus on, highlight whatever you need to focus on that first map hard point, and just keep speaking to each other. There is times in these high-pressure scenarios where there are individuals on both teams that might go a little bit quiet. Karma, there's times where he just goes full focus mode, stops talking a little bit. I think you can say the same on the side of John. That listening yesterday when they were making that fantastic comeback on uplink, did John say more than just a few words? So sometimes that's beneficial when the lines of communication are open for Apathy or Slash or whoever's being the leader at the time. But going into it, all players, get them calm, get them talking, pure focus.
Yeah, and the other thing is, to me as well, is, you know, you have great games out of Apathy and Slasher, but you're not always going to have those ridiculous performances, right? Just try and get that mindset. You know this is going to be a very tough battle.
And just looking at the hardpoint leader build coming up, this is one of the conversations that's been going on, you know, MVP of this tournament.
Well, there you go.
Number 1 and 2, it's Formal and Slasher. They're certainly in the running here for this one, but a 1.54 for Formal overall. Like, I think that needs to be kind of put into context here, right? At the top level, you should be pulling about a 1.1 realistically for a great play, right? Trading in this game is so prevalent. It is the very core foundation of every single respawn. He isn't trading, he's trading himself and a half a player every single time. You just shouldn't be able to do that.
No, you shouldn't. But Formal, well,
he does it.
He does it. And the irony is Slasher's not too far behind him either.
No.
And that was the one thing to note really from that winners bracket final, was Slasher just was not giving Formal-like respect. Very often you see players kind of say, that's Formal. Oh, okay, I'm giving more respect. Slasher was challenging him regardless of the situation.
Well, just not even that. When we talked pregame, I said if Apathy or John are playing well, that sort of forces those 2v1 situations on Formal. He's going to be the last one left. So Apathy goes in, gets him a little weak, Slasher cleans him up, and we have full map control. That's just a difference maker. If those SMG players, if they're winning their gunfights, of course Formal's going to crush. Of course Slasher's going to crush. It comes down to really players like Apathy and John, Crim6 and Karma.
Well, we've talked a lot about speculation for this grand final. Of course, Optic Gaming versus Team Envious. Let's take a look at our maps. Let's get a little into it. Let's get nitty gritty now. All right, we'll see our first map setting.